Ever get that feeling like maybe corporate training, it's kind of stuck in the past?
Yeah, no.
But you're definitely not alone. Companies are spending a ton of money. But a Deloitte report actually showed that only 30% are seeing any results.
Yeah.
So what's the deal?
Right.
Today, we're diving into Amr Farag's book, Exponential Workforce Roi. It's basically a roadmap to totally changing how we learn.
Right. This book, it's not just another take on training or whatever. It's about getting ready for the future.
Okay.
It's about a future where AI is actually the secret weapon, not the enemy.
All right, so let's break this down.
Sure.
Farag, he starts by talking about a big problem, and that's that traditional training methods really aren't working.
Okay.
Think about those generic training sessions.
Yeah.
Or those individual development plans, the IDPs.
Yeah.
That felt like a total chore.
Yeah.
And not helpful at all.
Exactly. And it's not just about wasted time. It's about all that potential that's being wasted.
Right.
Farag actually brings up a study from SHRM that found that managers spend 20 hours a year on each employee just on IDPs.
Oh, wow.
That's 20,000 hours for a company with 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Imagine what could be done if that time was used to boost performance.
It really makes you think.
It does.
What if we could get rid of that one-size-fits-all approach to learning and personalize it instead?
That's where AI and human performance improvement, or HPI, comes in.
Okay.
With HPI, it's not about just checking boxes. It's about getting results that you can actually measure, and AI is what makes that possible.
So how does AI-powered HPI actually work?
Okay, so picture this. AI analyzes an employee's performance, but it doesn't just look at where they're struggling. It figures out the root cause of the problem.
Oh, wow.
Then boom, it suggests specific things to help, like targeted microlearning modules or even connecting them with mentors who are really good in those areas.
So it's like having a personalized learning plan that changes as you go.
Exactly.
But what about the return on investment? Is this just another expensive trend?
Well, Farag presents a really strong case.
Okay.
He cites some research that shows companies using HPI see a 350% return on their investment.
Wow.
So that's like for every dollar spent, they get $3.50 back in performance improvements.
That's a pretty good argument, especially in today's world.
Yeah.
But it's not just about efficiency, right?
Right.
It's about learning the right skills for the future.
Exactly. And that's where what Farag calls fusion skills come in.
Okay.
He says that in the age of AI, just knowing technical stuff isn't enough.
Yeah.
You also need a mix of technical expertise, emotional intelligence, and adaptability.
So it's like being a chameleon. That's also good with technology.
Yeah, kind of.
You've got those hard skills.
Yeah.
But you can also read the room and work well with others and change when things change.
Exactly. Like, think about a marketing manager.
Okay.
They can use AI to analyze customer data, but then they need emotional intelligence to create a story that will resonate with that audience.
Right.
And then they have to be flexible enough to change their strategy if they get new information.
So fusion skills are about combining human creativity with the power of AI.
That's it. And that's a theme that runs throughout the whole book.
Okay.
He doesn't see AI as replacing humans,
Right.
but as a way to make us better. It's all about humans and machines working together.
Okay, so we have AI making learning personalized.
Yes.
And helping us develop these really important fusion skills. What else does Farag talk about?
Well, he really changes things up when it comes to performance management. He says to forget those awful annual reviews. He suggests using AI-powered life dashboards that give you feedback in real time and personalized insights.
Wait, hold on. AI-powered life dashboards. What does that even look like?
Okay, so imagine a dashboard that tracks not only what you produce, but also how you work with others, your creativity, even how quickly you learn new things.
Okay. It's like having your own personal coach right there in your pocket.
Okay.
Always guiding you and making sure you're on the right path.
That sounds really useful.
It is.
But to be honest, the idea of AI constantly watching what I do feels kind of, well, intense.
I get that. And Farag talks about that too.
Okay.
He says it's really important to be transparent and use the data ethically.
Right.
These systems should help employees, not control them.
So it's about finding the right balance between data insights and personal privacy.
That's exactly it. And that's where humans have to step in.
Yeah.
AI can give us the data, but leaders need to be responsible with it.
Right.
And make sure it's used to help employees grow and not take advantage of them.
This is all really interesting.
It is.
But let's face it, many companies are still using outdated training methods.
Yeah.
What would you say to a leader who isn't sure about this AI-powered future?
I'd ask them, can you afford not to?
That's a good point.
The world's changing fast.
Yeah. And the companies that are embracing these new ways of learning and developing are going to be the ones that succeed. The ones that stick with the old ways, they're going to be left behind.
That's a powerful message. And speaking of being left behind, one thing that really stood out to me in the book was how AI can totally change how we find talent.
Okay.
We don't have to rely on gut feelings or biases anymore.
It's true. Farag talks about using AI to identify what he calls high potential employees or high POs.
High POs?
It's like an algorithm that goes through tons of data to find people who might have been overlooked.
So it's not about getting rid of human judgment completely.
No.
But using AI to make it better, to get a more complete and unbiased view of who has the potential to really succeed.
Exactly. And that's a big deal for companies that want to build a diverse and high-performing team.
Absolutely. We've covered a lot so far, from the problems with traditional training to the amazing potential of AI and HPI. But there's one more thing we need to talk about.
Okay.
And that's LeanL&D.
Yes. LeanL&D.
What is that?
It's about taking the ideas from lean thinking and applying them to talent development.
Okay.
It's about getting rid of waste, streamlining processes, and focusing on getting the most value.
So it's not just about using the newest technology, but also about being smart and efficient with what we have.
Exactly. And AI can really help with this.
Oh.
Imagine using predictive analytics to create just-in-time learning experiences.
Okay.
Instead of giving employees a bunch of useless stuff, they only get training that they actually need.
Right.
And that's relevant to what they're doing.
That sounds so much better and more effective.
It is no more sitting through hours of training that you'll never use.
Exactly. And with AI, you can personalize that learning even more.
You can?
You know, like microlearning modules or gamified tests or even virtual reality simulations.
Right. The possibilities are endless.
This is all so exciting.
It is.
It feels like we're on the edge of a huge change in how we learn and develop our skills.
We are. And Farag's book is a really helpful guide for figuring out this new world.
Okay.
It's full of frameworks, checklists, and real examples to help companies of all sizes use AI and build a workforce that's ready for the future.
It's clear that we've only just scratched the surface of Exponential Workforce Roi.
We have.
But there's this one thing from Exponential Workforce Roi that I'm still thinking about, those AI-powered life dashboards.
Yeah, that's a pretty big shift from how most companies handle performance management now.
Yeah.
You know, forget about those yearly reviews that nobody likes.
Right.
Farag's idea is to have a system that gives constant feedback and insights, all powered by AI.
I can see how that would be really helpful for employees.
Yeah.
But how does it actually work? Like, what kind of data is being tracked?
It's not just about how much you get done or how many hours you work.
Okay.
These dashboards go deeper. They look at things like how you work with others, your creativity, even how fast you can learn new stuff.
So it's kind of like having a digital mentor who's always there to help you.
Exactly. And because it's all based on data, there's less room for bias or opinions. It's about getting a clear and fair picture of your strengths and weaknesses.
That sounds good in theory.
It is.
But I can imagine some people might feel a little weird about AI always watching them, you know?
Yeah, I understand that. And Farag talks about that concern in the book.
Yeah.
He says that it's really important to be transparent with people and make sure you're using data ethically.
Right.
Employees need to know how their data is being used. And they need to be sure that it's being used to help them grow, not to punish them.
So it's not about being watched all the time.
No.
It's about using data to help employees reach their full potential.
Exactly. And that's where human judgment is still important.
Okay.
AI can provide the data, but it's up to leaders to interpret that data responsibly and make sure it's being used ethically.
So it's like a team effort between humans and machines, not a replacement of one by the other.
Right. And that's a theme that keeps coming up in the book.
Yeah.
Farag sees AI as a way to make humans better, not to replace us.
Okay, so we've talked about how this is good for employees. But what about the companies? Why should they invest in a system like this?
Well, for one thing, it can make performance evaluations much more accurate.
Oh, really?
Because you're taking out human bias, you get a much better understanding of who your best people are.
And that can help you make better decisions about promotions, raises, and who gets assigned to what project.
Exactly. You're making decisions based on actual data, not just your gut feeling or personal opinions.
That makes a lot of sense. What other benefits does Farag mention?
He also talks about being able to identify skill gaps more quickly.
Okay.
By keeping track of how skills are developing, You can see where your workforce might be lacking and do something about it before it becomes a problem.
So it's like being proactive instead of reactive.
Exactly, and that can really help your company be more adaptable and stay ahead of the game.
Now, I imagine setting up a system like this could be a big challenge, especially for bigger companies.
Yeah, it can be.
Does Farag have any advice on how to make that transition?
He does. He says to start small, maybe try it out with a small group of employees first, and then slowly roll it out to the whole company.
So you don't have to do it all at once?
And no, you can take your time and adjust as you go along.
Okay.
He also says it's really important to communicate clearly with everyone throughout the process.
Yeah.
Explain to people why you're doing this, how it will benefit them, and answer any questions they have about privacy or data security.
So transparency and open communication are key.
Definitely. And it's worth it because once you have an AI-powered life dashboard system up and running, you'll wonder how you ever managed without it. It's a total game changer for performance management. And that's just one way AI is transforming the world of work.
So far, we've been focusing on individual and company performance. But Farag takes it even further.
Okay.
He says that AI isn't just about improving the jobs we have now. It's about preparing for jobs that haven't even been invented yet.
He's right. The world is changing so fast.
It is?
And the skills we need today might not be useful tomorrow.
That's true.
We need people who are adaptable and can keep learning and growing.
That makes sense. But how can we prepare for jobs that don't even exist yet?
It's a tough question, but Farag suggests what he calls future-proofing your workforce.
Okay.
And it starts with figuring out which skills will be important no matter what the future holds.
So what are those skills?
He talks about critical thinking, problem-solving, creativity, and collaboration.
Yeah.
These are the things that machines, no matter how smart they get, will have trouble doing.
Those are all those classic soft skills. It sounds like they're becoming even more important now with AI.
Exactly, and that's why Farag keeps talking about those fusion skills we discussed earlier.
Right.
It's about combining those human skills with technical know-how to create a workforce that's adaptable, innovative, and ready for anything.
Okay, so we need to develop these core skills and create a culture of continuous learning. But how do we actually do that? Does Farag give us any specific strategies?
He does. He gives us a plan for building what he calls a learning ecosystem.
A learning ecosystem.
It's about making learning part of everyday work, not something separate that people have to do.
So it's not just sending people to a training course once a year and calling it a day.
No, it's about making sure there are always opportunities for learning and development as part of their regular jobs.
Right, and AI can play a big part in creating that kind of learning environment.
Exactly. Imagine using AI to create personalized learning plans, deliver training just when someone needs it, and even recommend mentors based on an employee's specific goals.
That sounds like a much more engaging and effective way to learn, no more sitting through boring training sessions that you'll never use.
Exactly. And with AI, you can make learning even more personalized. Think about things like microlearning modules, gamified assessments, or even virtual reality simulations. The possibilities are really endless.
This is all so exciting.
Yeah.
It feels like we're on the verge of a huge shift in how we learn and develop our skills.
We are. And Farag's book is a really practical guide for figuring out this new world. He gives you frameworks, checklists, and real-world examples to help companies of all sizes use AI and build a workforce that's ready for the future.
It's clear we've only just scratched the surface of what Exponential Workforce ROI has to offer.
We have.
You know, we're wrapping up our look at Exponential Workforce ROI, and I'm still thinking about that last discussion we had about AI-powered learning ecosystems and getting the workforce ready for the future.
Yeah, it's really interesting stuff, right? Farag does a good job of showing what learning and development could be like in the future.
He does. But let's be real. All this talk about AI can be kind of scary for some people.
I know what you mean.
Like, there's a lot of worry about robots taking over our jobs.
There is, and that makes sense. But Farag talks about that fear directly.
Oh.
He says AI isn't about replacing humans. It's about making us better and creating new opportunities.
So it's not about us versus the machines, it's about working together.
Right, to achieve things that we couldn't do on our own.
Exactly, and he actually argues that AI will create more jobs than it takes away.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's just that those jobs will need different skills.
That's true, which brings us back to those fusion skills we keep talking about. It seems like they're really the key to succeeding in this new world with AI everywhere.
So what do you think are the most important fusion skills?
Well, Farag says that just having technical skills won't be enough in the future.
Yep.
You'll need that combination of technical expertise, emotional intelligence, and adaptability to really do well.
So being able to think critically, solve problems creatively, and work well with both people and machines.
That's it. And Farag actually gives some good advice on how to develop these fusion skills.
Okay, like what?
He talks about things like creating personalized learning plans, using games, and even virtual reality to make learning more immersive.
It sounds like learning and development is going to be way more interesting and interactive.
I think so, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
If we want to prepare people for the future, we need to make learning fun and relevant.
Okay, so we've got these fusion skills, but what about people who are already working?
Yeah.
You know, the ones who maybe didn't grow up with AI all around them.
Right.
How can they adapt and keep up?
Farag talks about that too. He says it's really important to keep learning and improving your skills.
So not just learning something once and being done.
Exactly. You have to constantly be learning new things to stay relevant.
It's like having a mindset of lifelong learning.
That's it. And he gives some good tips on how to do that.
Like what?
Things like making time for learning each week, finding mentors, and going to industry events or taking online courses.
So there are a lot of resources out there for people who want to learn.
There are. And with all these AI-powered learning platforms, it's easier than ever to find personalized learning experiences that fit your needs and goals.
So no excuses for staying stuck in the old ways.
Right. The future is here, and there are so many amazing opportunities for people who are willing to embrace change and keep growing.
Well, Amr Farag's Exponential Workforce Roi is a really useful and insightful guide for navigating this new world of work. It's full of great ideas, strategies, and real-world examples that will make you think differently about talent development. Whether you're a CEO, an HR professional, or just someone who wants to stay ahead in their career, this book is definitely worth reading.
It is.
We've covered a lot in this deep dive, and we hope you have a better understanding now of how AI is changing learning and development.
I hope so.
And we hope you feel ready to take action and start building a workforce that's ready for the future.
That's what it's all about.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.